I've played Roblox for nearly a decade now, and my time on the platform has taught me that things change very fast. As a kid, I would play obbies, but I would gradually go on to catch the anime hype train. On Roblox, at the time, there were basically no hardcore fighting games that were successful. This one man, Snakeoil, is basically the reason why that all changed. The games that he made and the legacy that he left behind were directly responsible for people like myself and many others to become entranced with anime games or just fighting games in general. When you think of popular Roblox anime YouTubers such as Infinasu, a good portion of them come from Snakeoil's OG community. Snakeoil's first big hit was Naruto Online, which is arguably the most iconic anime fighting game on the platform. Naruto Online was a pretty difficult game for me at the time, particularly because I was only around 10 years old at the time I played it. But the game itself was pretty revolutionary. You literally had to enter keys in a specific order in order to imitate the hand signs to cast a jutsu. Keep in mind that this was during an era in which the front page games were all obbies and tycoons. That whole experience is very blurry to me, I can't remember much of it. But I do remember that it left me with a desire to find more games like this, and that I did. Very shortly after, Snakeoil created One Piece Online, which I played religiously. One Piece Online did not have the greatest mechanics, but it was a hardcore game at its finest. The combat was literally Roblox's basic sword combats, but they reskinned the swords and made them do way less damage. The draw for One Piece Online for me was the fact that Snakeoil's community was a gathering place for very high-skilled people. One Piece Online was not a mechanical masterpiece, but it was a fan favourite and it remains dear in my heart. None of this happened in a vacuum, of course. People saw what Snakeoil was doing and they tried to replicate it for themselves. An example of one of these developers was Vtex. Newer players might know him as the creator of Arcane Adventures and World of Magic. Vtex originally started out his developing career through anime games. He created what was probably the most successful Fairy Tail game on the platform, Fairy Tail Online Fighting, and a very good One Piece game called One Piece Golden Age. One Piece Golden Age, like Naruto Online, set precedent for future games. In One Piece Golden Age's system, the main way in which you leveled up was from bandits. That game was the original Roblox bandit beta. Now, whenever someone says the word bandit beta, it's normally used in a negative context, but that isn't the case here. One Piece Golden Age was really a tool for positive change. Before that game, Roblox RPGs, in where there were level and power systems, were pretty much only PvP, or they required you to spam click spells in order to level up. One Piece Golden Age was something new. You would level up by fighting NPCs, and you would use your powers to go and fight other people. This format has not changed in over 6 years. Games like GPO and Demonfall are basically the same thing but with better graphics. The main reason why players like myself do not touch those games is because we've been there, done that. That entire concept is just old to me, and it will be very difficult for me to have fun playing a game like that. And that's again where Snakeoil came in clutch to cure my boredom. I introduced to you my favourite game on the entire Roblox platform, One Piece Requiem. One Piece Requiem, similar to One Piece Online, was entirely PvP based. It took the best parts of the anime and his old games and merged it into one combat-centric RPG. One Piece Requiem was one of the first successful games to have roguelike elements. Essentially, the only way to progress in that game was by getting skills for your style, such as 1-sword style, 2-sword style, 3-sword style, blackleg, boxing, dragon fist, gun. And the way that you got skills was you needed a specific amount of bounty and cash, and you got these by killing other players. But whenever you died, you lost a lot of it. This led to a truly hardcore experience where bad players were left behind. If you were just bad at the game or you didn't know what you're doing, there was a good chance that you wouldn't get a single skill. Now, also on that game, that was where people really started to quote-unquote boost. They would kill their friends and ults in order to get enough bounty for a skill. They would go get the skill and then let their friends and ults kill them so they can get their skills. This is a problem that still affects roguelike games to this day, especially Rogue Lineage, in where people will just kill their ults over and over again until they get their classes. OPR, while not closed community, had a very small player base compared to the actual quality of the game, and that led to a lot more intimate personal fights and community events, such as when the Red Brand pirates fought the Marines and there was a massive war. OPR's combat was also revolutionary in the sense that it included the guard break system and blocking. Like most modern games, OPR had an M1 chain in which you were stunned if you were hit by it, and the last hit would knock you back. But you could block these hits without any punishment, and the only way for someone to guard break you was for them to jump up in the air and hit you down, sort of like a down slam in ABA. This combat system was very good in my opinion, and it hasn't really been replicated in any games. Rogue Lineages was pretty similar, but instead of guard breaks on the down slam, it had guard break on M2. OPR in my opinion was just a complete masterpiece, and I don't know if there's anything that's ever gonna beat that for me. A few years later, Rogue Lineage released, and the rest is history from there. Like, I don't really need to explain Rogue, you guys know the game. It attempted to be one of the hardest games on the platform, and the high stakes of early Rogue exploration and fighting was actually so intense that it made for a very fun experience when playing with friends. The game had its golden times, and I was very happy to be a part of that. And then people started to develop dupe scripts. These artifacts, which we'd barely even heard of before, started appearing out of nowhere. Somehow the worst players in the game managed to get their ultra classes, and it was a very weird time trying to figure out exactly what happened to the game. Looking back in retrospect, it's pretty obvious to tell what happened. The existence of the black market and the demand for artifacts and boosted accounts was so high that people naturally produced exploits. And people who couldn't exploit would start asking their friends to exploit, or they would start boosting. Rogue Lineage literally has no boosting protection. You can literally just go on an ult with Roblox multi and get the same ultra class that someone spent hours progressing normally for. And in my opinion, that was the downfall of the game and the reason why I stopped playing. Now, how does Deepwoken fit into all of this? Deepwoken, like Infinasu says, is going to feature a mix of PvP and PvE, such that it's nearly impossible to progress to max with just PvP, but it is possible through PvE. Now, a question I get a lot of the time is, how is that anything different from the grinding systems in GPO and Demonfall? Well, first, the NPCs are actually difficult in Deepwoken. You're not just going to be able to run through them. There's a term in RPG and fighting games that we use, which is called a stat check. A stat check NPC is so basic that if you're progressed to a certain point, then you can easily kill it. But if you're not progressed enough, then it's impossible to kill it. It doesn't matter how skilled or bad you are. If there's a stat check in the game, then that means you have to grind, or you're not going to be able to beat it. That's what most Roblox RPGs have become, and that's what most Roblox players are used to. And I suggest that you do not go into Deepwoken with that mindset. If you mess up in a fight as a fully progressed player, then you can lose to an NPC. The opposite is also true. If you're a new player and you're actually good at the game, then you're going to have a much easier time with NPCs. This is a great thing because it means that players are rewarded for being skilled at the game and learning how to get better, rather than learning how to progress. Rogue Lineage suffered with this a lot. The only learning curve in the game was learning the progression. Once you understood how to progress to max Sigil Knight, then there's literally no way that you can lose to a player who's less progressed than you, no matter how bad you are. In Deepwoken, even if you do learn how to progress faster than other people, you may have an advantage in combat, but it's not going to be the be-all end-all. If that player is more skilled than you, then it can definitely make up for it, and you can actually lose. This also tackles Rogue's problem of boosting. You cannot boost in a system where PvE progression is the main way to go forward, because as Ragusa stated, you get basically nothing from killing freshies and people weaker than you. You're encouraged to go and find competition. In this way, Deepwoken solves a lot of the fundamental problems that I had with Rogue Lineage. At the same time, it keeps and even improves on some of the world building elements that made the game so popular and fun. Perhaps Deepwoken's biggest flaw is that it's too unlike anything we've seen on the platform. But the reason why I mentioned to you those games I used to play in the past is because they set precedents, and I do believe that Deepwoken will set its own precedent. Games that challenge the popular trends on Roblox, that are actually fun to play, are rewarded for it. A lot of people won't like Deepwoken because it's a hard game, but a lot of people will also grow out of that mindset because games on Roblox are becoming harder, and by playing Deepwoken, you'll actually be able to adjust to that difficulty. In my opinion, Deepwoken could be right up there with Piece Requiem for me, and it's the reason why I'm so hyped for this game, is because I do see the potential that it has, and the ability that it has to change the platform. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I didn't expect it to end up being this long, but this is why I'm excited for Deepwoken, and why I believe the future of Roblox is about to change right in front of us. I know that a lot of viewers have started playing Roblox in the past few years, so I hope I was able to explain to you how some of the changes on the platform came about and the developers that were responsible for this. Thank you for watching this video, I really appreciate it. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.